Welcome everyone, I'm Mike Buis of Buis Beef. The tour we're about to go on will take us around some of our farms and businesses that we operate out of here. We currently run about 325 mama cows. We take those calves right through to retail. We also farm about 700 acres of cash crops, including some vegetables such as sweet corn. And just because we don't have nearly enough to do, we have a feed store on farm that sells pet and livestock feed to other people as well. So this keeps us really busy. We started out as my grandfather came over in about 1930. He bought this farm and started farming there. And I'm third generation on the farm, and my daughter Teresa is the fourth, and you'll get to meet her in a minute. Teresa and I farm together. We currently run 5 separate businesses out of here. As each generation took over the farm, they changed and added something to it. So when I started the farm, I changed from feedlot to cow-calf, and now we operate a large cow-calf herd. We also added the retail part of it. As Teresa came on board, she added the feed store and the equine side of the businesses. So we'll get a chance to look at those as well. We do things quite a bit different than other farmers in Ontario in that we make use of some really unique technology. We ultrasound all of our cattle, and that will tell us exactly the best harvest date for the animals and also what they'll look like. So in the retail business, we can't afford to pick the wrong animal to put into the store. Once it's on the hook at the abattoir, it has to go into the store. So it has to be perfect. So the ultrasound is a tool that we've been using that's been able to predict accurately the best harvest date and the best harvest and what we can expect of that animal. So if it fits perfectly in our store, we'll harvest it at that date for the store. If it doesn't fit to the store, we have another spot that we send the cattle, and that's really a unique business in that they pay us by tenderness. So as we talk about how our handling and our philosophy on raising cattle, tenderness is very important both in our retail and in our other markets. In order to carry out all these things, we currently have about 18 employees, both full and part-time, that help us out on the farm. When we're done the tour, I'll be around for any questions that you might have. This farm that we're standing on here, this is the first farm my grandfather bought in about 1931. At the time he bought it, there was a lot of swamp, poorly drained areas. It wasn't that good of a farm. Grandpa immigrated from Holland and understood drainage and how to make it work. So he was one of the first ones in the area that started doing some tile drainage to drain some of the low areas and the poor areas of the farm, and made quite a productive farm out of it. Some of the original tile that Grandpa put in actually still exists. They used a clay tile, and some of that is actually still in here. We've added pieces as we needed to fine tune it, but for the most part, a lot of those old clay tiles still exist in here. So this was sweet corn, and we harvested the sweet corn and we planted rye. So you see these small plants coming up here. This is rye seed. We broadcast it over top of the field with fertilizer spreader, and this will be our winter grazing. So our fall calving cows are calving right now. They'll come into this field and they'll spend the winter out here on this field. The back part back here, that's as the corn was harvested, we didn't disturb the stalks. That's all food for the cows, so we're going to leave them just like that. So this is a 50-acre piece. This will hold. There'll be enough nutrition here for 50 cows for 6 weeks without adding any extra feed. Our fall group is about 75, so we will have to add some supplemental feed to them. So the field that we're in right now is actually my neighbor's field. We worked out a deal with him a number of years ago that we would provide him with cover crop seed and grow cover crops on here if he let us bring our cows across to graze it in the winter. So essentially we get 100 acres here that we can run cows on grazing all winter time. And it's a good trade for both of us. He gets some manure back, gets some cover crops, build the soil, and we get some grazing out of it. So it's a win-win for both of us. This field here, you see a little bit of alfalfa down in here. He had winter wheat in here. He planted alfalfa into it early in the spring. So the alfalfa kind of stayed in underneath the wheat canopy. Then as the wheat was harvested, the alfalfa started coming. We baled the straw off. We no-tilled sorghum into here. So this is the sorghum that's growing in here. We covered it with liquid manure out of our tanks just to give us a spot to apply manure. So we applied liquid manure onto it. And this is planted about the end of July. So this is how much growth we've had in almost a month. So with no fertilizer other than the liquid manure we put on here. With this alfalfa in the bottom, this will make really good feed. So our plan with this field is in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to cut this, we'll bale it, we'll wrap it in plastic, and this will be winter feed for the cows that we can use as and where we need it. So it'll all be harvested. Once it's harvested, this will regrow, and I'm hoping that by fall, once it freezes off, we should have a canopy about this tall that the cows will be able to come in and graze, and they'll graze here right through till spring. You can see right in here, we got some radishes coming in here, a few weeds, but a little bit of alfalfa and some radishes. And then this is ryegrass that's down in underneath here. So all of these things will give us good root growth and make good grazing for the cows as well. So this is also a field of sorghum. The difference between this and the last field is we added 40 pounds of nitrogen broadcast over top. And you can see we've got significant more growth than the last field we looked at. And we have a nice green, deep, rich color. So it's getting enough nitrogen and it's growing really well. We'll also cut this and wet bale it, and this will be some of our winter feed. We're hoping we can get 2 crops out of this. We'll take 1 cut in the next week or 2, and then just before frost or just at frost, we'll take a second cut of it as well. After we've cut it, we'll let the cows out on it, and cows will actually graze on this all winter. So this whole farm they'll have access to graze all winter. The field behind me is part of the Ontario Soil Road Trip online. A number of cooperating farmers right across Ontario have volunteered to open up their farms for people that want to do a virtual tour. So if you want to come and look, we have a link here to get where our spot is online. You can get a bit of background information, but you can actually do a tour around Ontario and look at the various cover crop and soil building opportunities that some of the farmers in this group have taken on. So this is one of the many stops available right across Ontario. So the field behind me is a cover crop we planted. There's a bit of sorghum in there. You'll see some sunflowers, forage peas, and oats. We're going to use this as fall grazing, so we're not going to harvest this. We're going to let it grow as much as it can, and then we're going to put the cows out on it, and they will graze this for late in the fall and through the winter. Most of the reason we grow a number of different crops in here is we want different root structures. So the sunflowers add a totally different dynamic to the root structure, to the soil building, and help us develop better soil. They're also scrounging whatever nutrients they can find. So we did not add any fertilizer to this piece. So whatever nutrients these plants have to grow is whatever is left over in the ground from the previous wheat crop. If you think of your fertilizer, your N, P, and K is being available in the ground, if it's available, it can move. So these plants will grab it, hold on to it in their roots, utilize it to grow, and then once the plant dies and breaks down, then it starts to release that. So then the next crop that comes in can utilize that stuff as it's released. The challenge is to get it to be released right when the crop needs it. So what we're finding with some of the nitrogen being re-released is almost too late for corn, but it's perfect timing for next year's cover crop.
Hi, my name is Teresa, and I am 4th generation transitioning into our family farm. Farming has always been a passion of mine. I've been farming beside Dad since I could walk, and I've always been working at the farm as well as other jobs. The only time I wasn't working at the farm was when I moved to Alberta for school. But then when I moved home, I decided that's truly what I wanted to do, even though I had tried a lot of other things. Each generation brings something new to the table. Recently, we just started the Bloomfield Feed Company back in December when we took over some friends who were retiring. We are a Purina dealership, and we also offer on-farm calls to help people with their rations. The feed side has always interested me with the nutrition. I have a strong science background, and I feel that it fits really well into our current businesses. We are always looking for different avenues and opportunity to grow and learn. I feel that the feed store fit really well because we found that there was a strong need for guidance in the nutrition side, and we placed it directly on our farm. So now our businesses are right from feed to beef. The other business that we run is Beyond the Trail, and it's an equine facility down the road. I've been running it for the last 7 years. We do a lot of work with foster kids and at-risk youth. We partnered with Interconnection, Equine Assisted Therapy. So we offer counseling at the farm for people where in-office counseling just doesn't work. We find using the horses for the therapy helps people to relax and let their guard down. It's outside of town, not confined to four walls or sitting across the desk from a stranger. And we have found the horse is very intuitive to what the people are feeling. My position with the therapy is more of a translator for the counselor. So what I do is I read the body language of the horse and watch their reaction with the client, and then help to relay that to the counselor. So watching the horses with the clients, we can tell if they are very stressed or anxious. Then their bodies are usually very tense and the horse doesn't want to be near them. So we will see the horse walk away from them or maybe pin their ears, try to shy away. So then we can help try to relax the client, talk about maybe what's bothering them, and get them down to more of a grounded state. We have found people with anxiety, the horses are very, very good at recognizing that, and they really step up to be that physical support for them. We've recently started working with one of the schools in town actually to bring students out to the farm to do some alternative learning. So we encourage them to put some of the stuff that they're learning at school to use in the real world. So measuring out grain, reading body languages with the animals, working on communication skills, learning that responsibility, so taking care of other beings, and learning that respect for each other. And we've found that to be quite successful. This year, actually, we're going to be taking some of those animals with our counselor that we work with to the schools to offer those services right at the school, which will be very interesting to see how that goes. When the horses aren't working there, we use them here at the farm for doing all of our cattle work.
So these cows never ever see a barn. So they'll spend the summer here on this pasture, and then in November we'll wean the calves off, and all these cows will go to the sorghum field that we just passed. There's no barn on it. There's a source of water and some windbreaks for shelter, and that's where they'll live. So these girls live outdoors all year round, and they're a healthy group of cows and used to living in outdoor conditions. They do quite well. They calve May and June, so we try to get them moved up here at calving time and start calving right here on the grass. And then the bulls are here right now, so we're in the process of breeding these cows right now. So we'll leave the bulls right in here until we go home, till we pull these girls off for the winter. The bulls will stay along with them. So they have the grass to eat. There's some white clover in the bottom of this, a little bit of trefoil, and we're supplementing with carrots right now just to get them through the rest of the season. We've been fortunate. We've had lots of nice rains, so we do have some good growing conditions. And for this time of year, that grass is still nice and green, which is a great thing to see. We're mostly red and black Angus, and then we use Simmental bulls as our cross, as our terminal cross. We'll keep a really close eye on these, and if there's some that need a little extra feed, like the Simmental here, generally Simmentals take a little more feed to keep going. This girl's done really well. You see she's in great condition for being out on the grass. So every breed has some that do better in different conditions. So the cows right now are on a ration of carrots and straw. So we see the straw bales in the background. They'll eat we can put about 16,000 pounds into a group of 80 cows and of carrots and straw, and that'll suffice them for the day. So they eat a fair amount of carrots. We can clean up about a semi-load of carrots each and every day. You'll see some of the ones at the back are looking a little wilted and old looking. The cows don't mind those at all. They still eat them right up. Way at the very back is a pile of sweet corn silage. So that's a byproduct of the sweet corn processing industry. So you'll see some ears in there, some husks, and ground up cobs and corn. And that we use that as our base for our feedlot ration, and we'll feed some of that to the cows during the season as well. The bags over here on this side are brewer's grain and distiller's grain, and we store those in the plastic. It gives us a longer shelf life. We don't feed a lot of that, so that helps preserve that. By the time fall is finished, harvest is done, this pit that we're standing in looks really big and empty now. By then it will be about over top of that post that's there. The pile will be up above that with silage, and this whole front section will be full of carrots, about 8 or 10 feet tall. So it'll be quite a pile of feed, but we have a lot of cows to feed, so we'll go through it. Yes. So part of the way that a large operation works is all the cattle come in and all the cattle go out as a group. You don't vary from that. So we've kind of twisted that a wee bit. So it's based on the individual animal. So each individual animal is assessed on its own merits, and the decisions to market it is based on that individual animal. So we're not a whole pen in and out. We're hand picking the cattle that we want to go into our retail store. This is our Buis beef on-farm retail outlet. The beef we sell here is raised by us right from calf right through to finish. So we want to make sure that every aspect of our production out on the farm results in the best possible product we can get in the store. We've had really good success. We've been doing this for a number of years. A lot of repeat customers that just rave about the quality of our beef. We try to make sure that every package is the very best. We do run into occasions when we run short of different kinds of steaks and different things, but that's kind of the nature of the beast, and our customers have come to expect that, and they know if they want a special order of something, they need to do that in advance to make sure they have what they want. When we started selling beef here, we started out selling halves and quarters. Then we broke that down into freezer packs with a mixture of different things in it. We found at that point that some customers wanted this kind of steak, not that kind of steak. So we were constantly switching out our freezer packs. So then we went to individual packages. So if someone wants to buy one package of Hamburg, we'll sell them one package of Hamburg, no problem. We have fresh and frozen. Currently we're doing 2 animals a week through here. And it's been a good business. The challenge is because we're utilizing the whole animal, there are times in our cuts that sometimes we get long on and sometimes we're really short of. So for instance, in the summertime during barbecue season, we're really short on certain steaks. but we start to build up roasts. That switches over in the fall when people start using more roasts and less steaks, and it balances out. When we went to selling individual packages, we thought for sure we're going to get a mountain of tails or tongues or some of these odd cuts that you couldn't give away. The opposite is actually true, that we have a waiting list for tongues and tails and some of that other stuff that people actually say, the next time you get one in, put it aside for me because I want it. So it's a good problem to have. We've got a good mixture of customers and are able to utilize all our cuts. Joanne's the manager of the store. She's been running this for the last 10 years out of this location, and gets to know her customers really well. And it's really refreshing when the customer comes in, you know them by name or you recognize them, and Joanne's really good, and the rest of our staff are really good at recognizing the customers, and customers will say, I want what I had last time, and our staff here actually knows what that was, recognizes what the people want, and helps them to pick what they want. The other thing is they come in and they say, okay, I want a ribeye steak. That's what I always get. Well, we're sold out. Our staff is really good at helping them to make a decision that will be just as good of an eating quality. They walk them through how to cook it, different ways to try different things, and that's worked out really well. So our customers are not only get the beef they want, they get cooking advice, and our staff also has to be really up to date on anything that's happening out on the farm, because as soon as they walk in the door, they expect staff to know, well, what's going on over there or what's happening on the farm today. So staff has to be really up to date and current on everything that's going on around them.
They're really excited that we know where the beef came from and we know how it's been produced in that. A lot of people have different questions about whether it's organic or natural or whether we use pesticides or whatever, and I can answer most of those questions. Our Hamburg and everything that we carry is all beef. We have a lot of customers now that do not eat pork, so they're really excited to be able to have beef bacon, or our gluten-free people can have hamburger once again because there's no additives to it or anything like that. So we find that we're picking up different markets. People are looking for different products because of health reasons and that, and we can help them with that. Right now, ribeyes and New York strip steaks are the top ones, top cuts, and T-bone and porterhouse, because they're not as available in the stores anymore. Brisket is hard to find. We bring in the whole brisket, or we can have it cut in pieces for people to try.
One other thing that I should add is all of our packages on the label. So right here we'll have a number, and that corresponds to the ear tag number of the animal that it came from. So we can trace each package back to the animal that it came from. So we can offer full traceability with our products right here at Shelfside. We're predominantly word of mouth. We do the odd newspaper ad, and we're working on we do have our own website, and we're working on doing some more social media advertising. So we have our daughter-in-law that likes to do some cooking. Her and my son will actually pick their favorite cut for the week, take it home, cook it, take some pictures, post it on Facebook, etc. And we found really good uptake by that. Trying new recipes, new cuts, all sorts of different things, and actually helping people to walk through the steps. Here's how I cooked it. Here's what it looked like on the plate, and wish you could taste it, because boy, it's good.